hmm I was just looking at this word, corporate. Yeah. hmm Of or relating to or involving a corporation, especially a business corporation, corporate bonds. Yeah. hmm You know, I realized that my relatives are really not that wealthy. Yeah. Hmm. Sandy Taylor was on Social Security disability insurance. Yep. Doug Taylor had Meniere's disease, and I grew up in a family where he was on disability insurance. Yes. Social Security disability. Yep. And Sandy was a parapro at Sacagawea Junior High. Now, when you grow up in a family where it's minimum wage, oh, and let's say you have an above average intellect, and you have to look at your parents and say, well, you know what? You are the stupidest. It looks like some corporations decided to trust my relatives in their misprisioning of treason. Oh, now, Mike Van Proyn's been getting paid from different corporations to go the way of the look-alike. Yes. And I'm going to find those corporations and I'm going to find the individuals that have any ownership of the corporations. Oh, now somebody thought, well, Paul's kind of special. He's not going to want to do what we want to do because he just doesn't agree with this whole idea of having sex through other individuals. Yeah. Now, I don't mind women having sex through me, yes, but I don't have sex through men. And some corporations use some technology that was known as the static electricity, where we're going to take the brains of the nation, yes, and every time a person has an orgasm, we'll take their memory so they can't remember. Do you hear me? Now, some billionaires got involved in the research and development of some technology, yes, where they decided they were going to control the population. Yeah. Now, there's some big names involved in here. Melinda. Ouch. Somebody said, well, we have to work through Sandy Taylor because it was Hu Jintao, or it was Horowitz and Associates, or it was Microsoft Corporation. Have you heard the gospel, Bill Gates? Because I thought I was one of those few individuals in society, yes, that was able to actually talk to the billionaire himself. And for about 25 years, you and your family's been obstructing my rights as a citizen of the United States. Isn't that right, Bill? See, I thought that a long time ago when we were in Bellevue, yes, at Tower Tapes and Records there in Bellevue, yes, I actually did get to talk to Bill Gates. And I asked you, have you heard the gospel? Now, somebody has been bribing those in office, and a lot of them have made most all their wealth, yes, because of the corporations that they were in control of. Now, why don't you give me my relatives? And then why don't I ask each and every one of them, yes, were you paid to bribe sheriffs, police officers, and those in the judiciary to issue fraudulent protection orders? Yes. And then you intentionally use lookalikes that act as if they're employees of the court when they're not. Yes. Now, obviously, these employees of the court, yes, somebody thought it was really funny making up some bullshit about me being in Jefferson County. And every time he got paid for a show because somebody played the actor Paul Budnick, yes, you decided that sure, I'll issue a traffic citation knowing he wasn't in Sequim, Washington. You have to understand how evil this is. I mean, really evil. Now, this corporation, oh, you know, you had to move the money, and all of you had to act like you were not involved, yes, so that you could deny any involvement in the bribing, yes, of this county, this state, and this federal government. Now, Judge Ken Williams, yes. When you issue this dissolution of marriage, yeah. Did my wife give you a copy of the United Nations marriage certificate? Well, when you had me arrested 3 days after issuing the dissolution of marriage for the false allegation of attempting to contact the petitioner through the third party, yes, known as Healthy Families of Clallam County. Yeah. Did the judge get a copy of the expungement order from Guam? No. Did you just make up some crap about you couldn't find me right now? No, this is really evil. It's really corrupting the morals of America's youth. Yes. And then when you didn't feel an obligation to have to contact me during all of these court hearings, yes, because you believed that my wife wasn't getting paid to kidnap my sons, yes. You said what? It was in the best interest, yes. See, I really don't have any criminal record, yes. For every time that you arrested me in Clallam County, they were all false accusations. They were all false arrests. They were all fraudulent mental health evaluations. Everything was a corporate game. We can bribe any person we want. Because if we pay, you do what we say. Now, these evil individuals that have billions of dollars, well, who was it that paid Mike Van Proyn to put that picture of Susan Bowers in the Rotary newsletter? Yes. And who was it that paid Judge Rohr to issue this dissolution of marriage without any proof of service? Yes. And who was it that paid Brent Baisden? Corporations. Corporate acquisition, corporate books, written records of corporate activities and business transactions. Corporate culture, yes. Now, we've talked about the corporate criminality. And then there's the corporate governance, yes, corporate immunity, which corporate law. Collectively, the statute, rules, regulations, and legal doctrines relating to the ways in which corporations operate. Yes. Now, let's look at it. Corporate officer, yes. And corporate offense, which corporate opportunity doctrine. Now, I wanted to mention that the airline industry, yes. Could you get me the actual employees of Boeing? It seems that my Aunt Lori was an employee of Boeing, yes. And when she decided to pick me up at SeaTac, she had called my Uncle Wayne and said, "Target acquired." And then she had me kicked out of my grandmother's house 2 times. Threatened the police on me. Pooh. Now, let's say Boeing as a corporation had contributed anything to the criminal element of Laurel Ann Argyle. Poop. And I found out that you had some Boeing satellites that she was on. And I found out, look at her husband Rob just showed up. Having been a machinist at Boeing for 30 years? Yeah. Is it possible, Boeing right now? Now listen, I'm going to want to know the hierarchy of Boeing for the last 30 years. Yes. And then the actual job description of Laurel Ann Argyle. Yes. She seemed to have complained that she's been working her ass off for the last 38 years. Yes. And she does not have enough money to be able to retire. And then I want to know every airplane that you've sold to any individual. Yes. For the last 30 years. Now, my grandmother Eunice Condent was deceased in 2017. Yes. And my Aunt Lori really, yes, was on any person I was talking to right now. The B on them. Now, is it possible that Boeing, as a corporation, does have some technology, some B? Well, I think I'm suing you. I just wanted to know every purchase of every airplane for the last 30 years. See, I wanted to be in the airplane manufacturing business. Yes. And it's easier for me right now to have you removed as a corporation. So why don't you get me the president of Boeing? Yes. And then actually where Laurel Ann Argyle worked for the last 40 years. Yeah. all the coworkers, and her actual corporate review, the peer review as well as the individual reviews, because I think she should have been put in prison a long time ago. And as a corporation, you've intentionally kept employed is what you just couldn't talk about, could you, boy? Now give me those aircraft orders. And then any satellite purchases, yes, because I'm going to sue Boeing right now. I think I'm going to own you. So you get me the C-level employees? Yeah, the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, the COO. Because this idea that my aunt is going to profit, yes, from my pain and suffering for the last 8 years.